It all started on Below Deck Mediterranean Season 10, Episode 4, a night that no one on the yacht Bravado will ever forget. The clock was ticking past midnight, the guests were full, and Chef Josh Bingham had just wrapped up an 8-course masterpiece that could have easily graced a Michelin-starred table. Ajo Blanco, curry barbecue lobster with apricot puree, soft-shell crab tempura, and Wagyu beef tacos. Every bite was flawless. The galley was finally quiet. The crew thought the chaos was over, but they had no idea what was coming next. Because when the last spoon clinked against the final creme brulee dish, one guest wasn't ready to call it a night. The primary charter guest, Jack Freeman, leaned back in his chair with that mischievous sparkle in his eye. The rest of the table laughed, unaware that this moment was about to spiral into one of the most awkward late-night requests in Below Deck history. "Hang on," Jack said, waving a hand. "We have a bit of a request. We'll have a little chicken." Aesha Scott, the ever-patient chief stew, froze for a split second. She knew Jack. She'd dealt with him before on Below Deck Down Under Season 2, and back then she'd warned Chef Josh that he had specific tastes. But even she hadn't expected this curveball. After 8 gourmet courses at 1 a.m, Jack wanted Sichuan chicken. Not dessert, not coffee, chicken. Before we go further, if you love wild Below Deck moments like this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because trust me, this story only gets crazier from here. Back to the chaos. Josh blinked, unsure if Jack was joking. "Jack, you realize that was 8 courses, he said, half laughing. But Jack wasn't smiling. He was dead serious. "Just a little Sichuan chicken," he repeated. "Just a little chicken." His guests protested, saying they couldn't eat another bite. Even Taylor, one of Jack's friends, tried to stop him. "You couldn't even finish your creme brulee, Jack," she scolded. "Go to sleep." But Jack wasn't letting go. "Just a little chicken," he insisted again. The tension in the room thickened. Josh, now caught between hospitality and frustration, looked to Aesha for backup. "I don't know what to do here," he whispered. The chef had already pulled a 16-hour day, and his kitchen looked like a battlefield of used pans and trays. Still, the guest was demanding. And on a yacht, the guest always wins. If this moment felt familiar, it's because it wasn't the first time Jack had made this exact demand. Just one night earlier, he had turned the yacht upside down asking for the same thing. Sichuan chicken. But that night, things had gone even stranger. During that earlier charter night, the kitchen lights had already been turned off, and Chef Josh was asleep. When Jack suddenly got a craving, it was stewardess Kizzy Kitchener who found herself caught in the culinary storm. Jack looked her dead in the eye and said, "I really need a Sichuan chicken." Kizzy blinked in confusion. Not only was it after midnight, but she also had no idea what Sichuan chicken even was. "I honestly don't even think he wants Sichuan chicken," she later admitted in her confessional. "He wants to see me jump through hoops and do backflips." But Kizzy was determined to please him. She pulled Christian Tremino, one of the deckhands, into the galley to look up a recipe. Soon, they were scrolling through photos of spicy red chilies and garlic-soaked sauce. But there was a problem. Bosun Nathan Gallagher caught them in the act and immediately shut it down. "No way," he said. "You're not cooking unsupervised at 2 a.m. Kizzy didn't give up. Instead, she improvised. Taking leftover chili con carne from the crew's dinner, she plated it up beautifully and marched to Jack's cabin like a hero. But when she opened the door, he was already asleep. The infamous Sichuan chicken mission ended before it began. Now, back to the present night. This time, Aesha decided to handle it differently. She knew what Jack really wanted. Attention, not food. So instead of waking up Josh again, she swapped the order with something simpler but indulgent. Truffled Parmesan fries. She presented them gracefully, hoping to satisfy him. But once again, Jack didn't touch them. He just shrugged and said, "I'm not even hungry anymore." The crew sighed in disbelief. They had bent over backward for this man, and he wasn't even hungry. But the drama didn't stop in the galley, because a few hours later, Jack made another demand, one that broke safety rules and nearly ended in disaster. It started innocently enough. The sea was calm, but the swells were picking up. The deck team had been told no swimming allowed due to rough conditions. Still, Jack approached Kizzy and Christian again with that same stubborn charm. "Can I swim?" he asked. "Just a quick dip." Both stews hesitated, knowing Captain Sandy's rule: no guests in the water after dark. Nathan had made that crystal clear, but Jack didn't take no for an answer. He negotiated. "Just the feet," he said. "I'll only dip my feet." Christian, wanting to avoid another argument, reluctantly agreed, under one strict condition. "Only your feet," he repeated. "No further." Jack nodded, pretending to comply. But as soon as he stepped onto the swim platform, the ocean beneath the yacht churned with unpredictable force. The platform wobbled, the cameras rolled, and Jack laughed, saying, "It's actually quite wobbly." Seconds later, that laughter turned to panic. The yacht pitched slightly in the swell, and Jack lost his balance. His feet slid forward, and before anyone could react, he fell straight into the water. The next few moments were chaos. Christian shouted for help. The guests screamed. Nathan, watching from the crew mess monitor, dropped his fork and bolted out the door. He sprinted across the deck as the emergency lights flickered on, his heart pounding. Jack thrashed in the dark waves, disoriented but conscious. Luckily, Nathan reached him fast, grabbing him by the arm and pulling him to safety. Jack coughed, drenched but unharmed. The crew's relief was instant, but so was their frustration. He had broken one of the yacht's cardinal rules, all because he wanted to do things his way. Aesha's patience had finally run out. As she wiped seawater from her uniform, she muttered under her breath, "If he asks for chicken after this, I'm quitting." The morning after Jack's late-night ocean tumble, the mood aboard Bravado was tense. The crew gathered in the galley, half awake, whispering about the chaos that had unfolded. No one wanted to be the first to face Captain Sandy. The rule had been crystal clear: no swimming after dark, especially not when the yacht was rocking in rough seas. And yet, their high-maintenance guest had gone straight into the water. When Captain Sandy finally entered the galley, her silence said everything. She looked at Aesha, then at Nathan, and finally at Christian, whose expression was a mix of guilt and exhaustion. "Who authorized the swim?" she asked sharply. Christian swallowed hard. "He said he'd just dip his feet, Captain." Sandy's eyes narrowed. "And you believed him?" The room went quiet. Even the sound of the espresso machine felt too loud. Nathan stepped in, taking partial blame. "Captain, I saw it happen on the monitor and got him out immediately. He's fine." But Sandy wasn't interested in fine. She was thinking about liability, about safety, about how close they came to a full-blown rescue operation. "This isn't a playground," she snapped. "This is the ocean. One slip could have been deadly." Her tone softened for a moment as she added, "And we're here to protect them, even from themselves." The crew nodded, tension hanging in the air like humidity. Josh, meanwhile, was silently plating breakfast, his jaw clenched. He'd spent the night replaying Jack's absurd request in his mind. 8 courses, truffled fries, and now an accidental swim. It was like a fever dream. As the morning charter meal rolled out, Jack strutted onto the deck wearing sunglasses and a grin, as if nothing had happened. "Morning, team," he announced cheerfully. "Lovely dip last night." Aesha forced a smile, her patience stretched thinner than her mascara after a night of 0 sleep. "Glad you're okay," she said, voice tight. "How's your appetite?" Jack smirked. "Could go for some Sichuan chicken." The table went dead silent. Josh looked up from the galley window like a man on the brink of collapse. "He's joking," Aesha muttered. "He has to be joking." But no, Jack wasn't joking. He was testing, pushing, seeing how far he could go before the crew broke. Aesha finally decided to draw a line. She leaned in, resting her hands on the table, and said, "Jack, we love giving you the best service possible, but maybe today you give the galley a break, yeah?" For a moment, it seemed like he might argue. Then, surprisingly, Jack laughed. "Fair enough, Aesha," he said, raising his mimosa. "You've earned it." The tension broke with a collective sigh of relief. But even then, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that Jack's antics would leave a mark. Not just on the season, but on their sanity. Later that day, Aesha met with Josh in the crew mess, both of them exhausted, yet bonded by shared chaos. "That man has an obsession," Josh said, slumping into a chair. "I don't even want to hear the word chicken again." Aesha chuckled, sipping her coffee. "I think he just likes watching us squirm. It's like entertainment for him." Josh nodded. "Yeah, well, next time I'm serving him tofu and telling him it's Sichuan chicken." The two burst into laughter, the first real one they'd shared since the charter began. Meanwhile, the other crew members replayed the night's madness over and over. Kizzy joked that she'd add Sichuan chicken trauma to her resume. Nathan teased Christian about being the lifeguard who let the guests swim. Even Captain Sandy cracked a rare smile when she heard the full story later, saying, "Only on below deck, huh?" But behind the jokes, there was a lesson, one that every yachtie learns eventually. No matter how beautiful the sea, how calm the sky, or how elegant the guests, chaos can strike without warning. And sometimes it doesn't come from storms or mechanical failure. It comes from one man's unstoppable craving for chicken. That night, as the yacht sailed smoothly toward its next destination, Aesha stood on deck, watching the moonlight ripple across the water. The sea was calm again. The air was quiet. And for once, there were no surprise requests echoing from the cabins below. She smiled to herself and whispered, "Peace at last." But just as she turned to head below deck, a voice called out faintly from the guest corridor. "Aesha! Do we have any fries left?" Her smile froze. She sighed, muttering, "Here we go again." The screen would fade out here with a teasing beat, leaving viewers laughing, shaking their heads, and wondering what Jack would demand next time. So, what do you think? Was Jack just having fun, or did he take it too far? Comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wild, below-deck Mediterranean moments just like this. Because if you thought this charter was chaotic, wait until you see what happens next week.